in prayer, you talked even in a different conversation about the word of the Lord and hearing from the Lord. This is a big question. People ask me this all the time, and I'd love to hear your response. How do you know when you're hearing from the Lord as opposed to your own thoughts, your own imaginations, or something else?
Well, for me, the directive came through worship. So as I was worshiping Him and waiting in His presence, as David says, I will wait for your word. This is what we're looking for. As we're waiting, that speaking will come. And so the speaking comes from that place of waiting upon the Lord, from that place of worship of the Lord.
So it's a matter of origin.
Origin is huge. You nailed it on the head. As a matter of fact, the false prophets were not rebuked because what they said was wrong as much as they were rebuked for the origin being off. I did not send you. I did not speak. They spoke when I did not speak. Origin is everything. As a matter of fact, a man who does not have the origin of something and then speaks as if he has the origin, it falls dead empty. Origin means you've heard it from the Lord. There's only one person that can preach the Sermon on the Mount, and it's Jesus. And He must breathe it into us. Just because you memorize it doesn't mean anything. You have to have it breathed into you from the Lord, which is the presence of the Spirit breathing the Scriptures into you. You never really know a thing until it's burned into you by the Spirit revelation. The Spirit has to breathe it into us. Otherwise, it's just head knowledge. It never drops down and becomes what you are. It's just what you know.
So when you are in that place of adoration and you hear something, because it came from that place of adoration, that to you is an indication that this is from the Lord.
And it feels different. It feels thick. It feels and rings right. It's like throwing a quarter on the ground and throwing a plastic quarter on the ground. One of them just clanks. It doesn't hit right, while the other one rings as soon as it hits the ground. A revelation from the Lord is alive, and it brings life. Once it hits me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Once it hits you, it's almost as if you just took in life from another source. It really is bread. It satisfies the soul. But what stuff that has its origin in the mind or in the mind of man, it does not ring. It doesn't have that divine quality to it. It's not alive, and it doesn't produce life.
Are you ever concerned that, and I'm asking this because people have asked me this.
Sure.
Are you concerned ever that you think you're hearing from God, but you're really hearing some other voice, maybe the voice of the enemy?
Well, not really. One of my friends, Brian Guerin, likes to say, I thought this was great. He said that when you fear something, you come under subjection to it. So once you begin to fear that, deception, then you come under subjection to deception, because fear makes you a slave of the thing that you fear, as Peter says. We were slaves by fear. And so if I begin to fear that, then what will happen was it'll put me in a disposition in which I can be deceived. So I'd rather just put my faith and my trust in Him. If I miss it, then I miss it, and I keep going and say, Lord, I'm learning you, and I want to continue to learn.
Let me ask you this way. Has this ever happened to you? I mean, have you ever thought you heard from the Lord, it turned out to be the devil, and it was complete deception?
I thought I heard the Lord, and it wasn't the Lord. If it was the devil or not, I'm not sure. It could have been just me. Never anything that was directly contrary to the Word of God. That's a major checkpoint. If it's contrary to His Scriptures, the things written, then it's definitely not from the Lord. I don't care what sense or whatever happens with it. It doesn't matter. Even if an angel comes in the flesh, if he preaches a gospel other than what you've heard, let him be accursed. That thing is, it's terrible. So, I'm not sure if it was the devil or what, but I have missed it, many times.
What do you do if you have two things inside? Maybe there are two options. You're not really sure which one is from the Lord. Maybe it's a decision you have to make in life or something.
Right.
Is there anything you do to sort that out? Or what?
First thing that I do is back away from it. What do I mean by that? I mean, I get away from it. I will not give my attention to it. And I love what Pastor Bunky said about this. You probably remember it better than I do. He said he prays himself into a state of neutrality where it doesn't matter either way, so that he can hear clearly what is on God's heart instead of what he wants. Do you remember how he said it specifically?
Yeah, he said that he neutralizes, by an act of his will, he neutralizes his own opinions and desires. and usually then he can see one rise to the surface.
Right. So I think that neutralizing is removing your eyes from it.
Yeah.
It's looking at Jesus and saying, it doesn't matter. I've got this $1 million opportunity over here, or I've got this $10 million opportunity over here. Which one do you want? It's really, Lord, I just look to you. It doesn't matter. It's removing yourself from it. So it's very important, because I think the heart is easily deceived and actually creates idols unto God. And I think herein is another issue, that the unsatisfied heart is an idol factory. It creates idols when it's not satisfied with God. So it's more important that we give ourselves to being satisfied by His sweet presence to find the purity of following Him.